The Gavel of Justice. In a quiet courtroom in Maple Grove, Virginia, a woman named Patricia Hensley slapped my 15-year-old daughter, Sarah, right in front of a stunned judge. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed the judge's gavel and shattered her arm with it. This wasn't a bar brawl or a back alley feud. It was a court of law where justice was supposed to reign. But when Patricia, the corrupt president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, forged my family's land deeds and attacked my child, I stopped waiting for the system. I became justice. If you've ever wondered what happens when a father's patience snaps, or how far someone will go to protect their own, this story will pull you in and hold you tight. My name is Tom Randall, a 52-year-old widower and former Marine who wanted nothing more than to raise Sarah on the land my father left us, a modest 10 acres of oak trees and open fields. Our cabin wasn't much, just a sturdy roof, a porch swing, and a flagpole out front. But to the Willow Creek HOA, it was an eyesore. It started with a letter, crisp and official, signed by Patricia Hensley herself. Your property violates community standards. Vacate or face legal action. Willow Creek didn't exist when my dad built that cabin. He'd cleared the land himself, long before subdivisions and HOAs sprouted up. I dug into the county records and found the forgeria deed with my father's signature, dated 6 months after his death, transferring half our land to the HOA. My blood boiled. I'd seen betrayal in war zones, but nothing like this. Sarah, bright and fearless, read the papers and said, "We're not leaving, right, Dad?" I nodded, hiding the fury in my chest. Not without a fight. I filed a lawsuit the next day. Patricia didn't back down. She cut our water line, sent fake fines, and even spread rumors that Sarah was a troublemaker at school. I documented everything, every severed pipe, every forged notice, every threat. Then Patricia showed up at our doorstep, her silver SUV gleaming, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're a blight on this community," she sneered, eyeing Sarah on the porch. "And that girl of yours, loitering like some delinquent? Keep her in line, or I'll make sure she's banned from every park and school event." I stepped closer, my voice low. "Touch my daughter, and I'll dismantle your little empire, board by board." She flinched but smirked, thinking she'd won. Days later, a letter arrived at Sarah's school, accusing her of threatening a classmate. She was pulled from class, questioned like a criminal, all based on an anonymous tip from Patricia. She was pushing me, testing how far I'd bend. But she didn't know I'd survived firefights in Fallujah. I didn't bend. I broke things. The courtroom smelled of polish and tension when the trial began. Patricia strutted in, her navy blazer pristine, her entourage of HOA lackeys trailing behind. She waved at the court staff like she owned the place. "Let's make this quick," she said. "I have a meeting at noon." I sat beside Sarah, my jaw tight, our evidence folder ready. The judge entered, and Patricia's lawyer, all charm and venom, spun a tale of my non-compliance with HOA rules. I stood, cutting him off. "Objection. There were no rules when that deed was signed because my father was dead." I held up the forged document, pointing to the date. "This isn't a mistake. It's fraud." The room stirred. Patricia leaned back, unfazed, and said, "If you knew how many papers I sign, you'd understand a mix-up." Her arrogance lit a fuse in me, but I stayed calm. Sarah would testify tomorrow. That's when Patricia would unravel. The next morning, Sarah took the stand, her green sweater a reminder of her late mother. Her voice was steady. "I saw Ms. Hensley with 2 men in our yard. She signed a paper using Grandpa's name, months after he passed." Patricia scoffed, loud enough to draw the judge's glare. "Ms. Hensley, you'll have your turn," he warned. But Patricia didn't wait. She stood, heels clicking, and hissed, "This is ridiculous. You're letting a child slander me." Sarah pressed on. She said, "This makes the zoning airtight. No one's challenging a dead man's deal." Patricia snapped. Ignoring the judge's gavel, she stormed the witness stand, screaming, "You little liar. You think you can ruin me?" Then she slapped Sarah hard, sending her crashing against the stand. The crack of skin on skin echoed. Sarah crumpled, blood trickling from her lip. Time didn't slow, it sharpened. I was on my feet, chair screeching. Patricia turned, wild-eyed, taunting me. "Your land's trash. Your family's trash." I crossed the room in seconds, shoving past the frozen bailiff. The gavel was in my hand before I thought about its lid. Heavy, perfect. "You touched my blood," I growled. "Now you'll feel justice." She raised her arm to block me. I swung. The crack of wood on bone silenced the room. Patricia screamed, collapsing, her wrist shattered. "Bailiff, do something," she shrieked. The bailiff raised his taser, but I turned, calm. "She assaulted a minor in front of a judge. Touch me, and you're obstructing justice." He froze. Patricia tried to crawl away, her blazer smeared with blood. I grabbed her collar, dragged her to the courtroom's center, and slammed the gavel into the floor. "This is where my daughter bled," I said. "This is where your reign ends." The judge, trembling, ordered me to step back. I dropped the gavel and helped Sarah up. She whispered, "I'm okay." I nodded. "I know." Patricia woke in a hospital bed, handcuffed, her wrist in a cast. Special Agent Laura Mitchell stood over her, voice cold. "You're under arrest for assault, forgery, impersonation, and obstruction." Patricia whimpered. "I'm the victim. He attacked me." Mitchell didn't blink. "Cameras show you striking a 15-year-old. Mr. Randall acted in defense." I stood outside, listening. Sarah was downstairs, her bruises fresh, but her spirit unbroken. Patricia's empire was dust. The court didn't stop there. Patricia was sentenced to community labor scrubbing the courtroom floor where Sarah's blood had dried. She knelt, cursing, her casted wrist trembling as she worked. A sign hung nearby, displaying the forged deed, her lies in red ink. I crouched beside her, pointing to a stain. "That's from Sarah's lip. You hit her so hard it sprayed." She flinched, but kept scrubbing. Her power was gone, her allies silent. The community gathered on the courthouse lawn for a vote. Should Patricia be banned from all HOA leadership? 400 residents came, some in shirts reading enough. Patricia stood between deputies, hollow-eyed, as the clerk read her statement. "This is a circus," she spat. "You need me. I kept your streets clean, your standards high." I stepped forward. "You taught them fear. I showed them what it costs." The vote was unanimous, 392-0. Patricia was barred for life, ordered to write a public apology by hand. The Willow Creek HOA sign was torn down that night, spray-painted with liar. Patricia vanished. Some said she fled, others said she hid in a condo, curtains drawn. Our land was restored, and the forged deed was shredded publicly. Sarah smiled again, her bruises fading, her courage blazing. At a community picnic, I spoke to the crowd. "You saw what happens when power goes unchecked. I picked up that gavel not to break the law, but to break the lie that law works without courage." The applause was heavy, like a long-held breath released. I visited the courtroom one last time, alone. The gavel sat behind the bench, its handle still cracked from that day. A note was taped beneath, in pencil. "Sometimes the law needs a fist." I smiled. Patricia showed Maple Grove what tyranny looks like. I showed them what a spine looks like. Sarah and I drove home under the stars. Our land quiet. Our fight won. Justice didn't come from a robe, it came from a father who said, "Not my daughter. Not today." This story isn't just about a corrupt HOA or a courtroom brawl. It's about the line you draw when someone crosses it. It's for every parent who's watched their child hurt while the world looked away, for every family crushed by rules bent against them. Patricia fell because she underestimated us. Don't make that mistake. Stand up, speak truth, and when the system fails, make your next move unforgettable. What would you have done if someone attacked your child in court? Would you wait for justice, or take it like I did? Share your thoughts below, especially on violence and injustice in our world. Take a stand, tell us where you draw the line. Your voice matters.